Jainism, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's our last session with Rajiv Pai, and we're very much looking forward to hearing his stories. I'm just going to start off with the Nalkar mantra. Namo Arihantaram, Namo Sitaram, Namo Ayaryaram, Namo Vajaram, Namo Loe Savasahuram, Esto Pancha Namo Karo, Salva Palpanasano, Mangala Lancha Servisim, Paramam Have Mangalam.
Namaste Badane and Jai Jinendra. As Meera said, that today is the last day of our Jatra with Rajiv Pai, and we are going to visit a few wonderful places again. Just for new people who have joined us today, Rajiv Pai is a great academic, both in his engineering degree as well as in Jain philosophy. And he does do Jain classes at SCVP for adults. So that's just a brief introduction from me with regards to Rajiv Pai. And, you know, what else can I say about him? I will let him say that himself. Rajiv Pai, please take us on our journey.
Thank you very much, Kavit. Jai Jirendra, everyone. So over the past 2 weeks, we've been doing different jatras, primarily across Gujarat and Rajasthan. So before I start, let me recite a small prayer, which is called Jankinchi prayer. This prayer is recited during Chekya Bandhan, when people go to Derasar, and it's a very short prayer, but it's very appropriate, especially for the jatras which we are doing. It's called Jankinchi Namatitham Sagge Pali Manusaloye Jaim Janabimbaim Taim Sabvaim Vandami. And what this prayer is saying, wherever there are Jinesha Bhagan Abim, so as you can see on the picture in the background, all these peaks here, they are all beams. The Janja Bhagan Abims, whether in this world or in other worlds, I'm actually bowing down to all the Jineshwar Bhagwans or all the Arihant Bhagwans in these temples here. So as you can see, it's like a Bhav Yatra. Sitting at our place right now, we are actually bowing down to so many Jaina Tirthni Jagyache over here in India, or it could be in other worlds. So that's a very short prayer. So let me just share my presentation. Kavit, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. So last weekend, we stopped just by Palitana. So we'd go to Palitana, and rather than climbing, we spent one day going around the periphery of Palitana, and there were quite a few places which we visited. Kadamgiri, Hastagiri, Getinu Park. So we did that last week. So basically, then what happened was on this day 10, we climbed Palitana. And what I will do is I'll actually skip this for now. I will cover the remaining few days which we did the Jatra, and then I'll do a special presentation on Palitana itself. So let's just skip Palitana the day we actually climbed the mountain. So after climbing Palitana, what we did was we essentially went from Palitana and then went into Ahmedabad. But along the way, there are quite a few interesting Jain Jagya. So one is Valbhipur. The other one is Ayodhyapuram, Agdi, Naukardham Tirth, and Ahmedabad. So it's a kind of a relatively short drive, and just within this drive, you can actually visit. And these are all tirths just along the highway, so you don't have to go any way further. and you can do this jatra here. So this is Palitana. So before leaving Palitana, you obviously can't climb to the top. So this is the Taleti. So this is at the base of the mountain, and you almost just before leaving Palitana, you just go there, give your obeisance, and saying have a vela mane pacham kare jatra karo. So this is just kind of in a way of bidding farewell to Palitana. And this is also quite common that people who are quite old and frail, who cannot climb it, then sometimes they just feel like by coming here, then they would have done the Palitana just to the Taleti. So this one, which is covered in kind of silver foil, is essentially the base of the mountain. That's where the mountain is starting. So after leaving Palitana, the next stop which came was Valbipur. Now this tirth is very, very important for us Jains. And the reason being that all the agams which we have right now with us, they were all compiled at Valbipur. As you know, from the time of Lord Mahavir, most of the preaching was done orally and by word of mouth. So Bhagwan Mahavir would have told his disciples, and his disciples would have told his disciples. Nothing was written down. And then perhaps 500-600 years after Bhagwan Mahavir went into moksha, the Sadhu Maharajis started thinking that we are losing memory power right now. And if you do not record what we've been told, then everything will be lost. So there were a couple of councils, they call it councils. There was one in Mathura, and there were, I think, 2 or 3 in Valbipur. And in this place here, the last one, there were about 500 Sadhu Maharajis and Acharya Maharajis. They all got together and they all said, okay, let's recollect all what has been told to us and just let's write it down. So can you imagine what significance this tirth it has? And as you can see in this temple over here, Shri Panso Acharya Maharaj ni Sparshada. So there's actually murtis of those 500 Acharya Maharajis over here. So again, to read the history, again, you can go to the website here to read, and it's very interesting to see who were the Acharya Maharajis who compiled these agams. So yeah, as you can see, this is the entrance of the Acharya Maharaj Sahibni Parshada. So this is it. When you go inside here, there are small idols of all the 500 Acharya Maharajis who were present and who compiled the agams. And there's also the head Acharya Maharaj who was the one who convened this. So just amazing to see that when you read the scriptures and when you come to read about Siddhasen Divakar or Shama Shraman, and so all these peoples who we have read, you can actually see their images of their murtis over here, and it's just amazing feeling. Okay, you've heard these people's names in the scriptures, and here is a shrine dedicated to them. And this particular tirth was recently refurbished and renovated by Nemisuri Soruji Maharaj. So he was present perhaps about 150 years ago, quite recent memory, and therefore there is also a shrine dedicated to him. So there is another temple dedicated here, and also what they've done here is they've got Adesha Bhagwan Murti, and they've also replicated the Taleti over here. So so people feel that this is, you're going to Palitana. So these are some of the names of the Acharya Maharajis who had compiled the agams. So you can see Haripadra Surisuri Maharaj. He's compiled and written a lot of text on how to do yoga. Then there is also Hir Vijayji Surisuri Maharaj. Hir Vijayji Maharaj was actually present during the time of King Akbar. And he influenced Akbar so much so that Akbar actually had made a decree that there'll be no violence during the position time. So all the Muslims, no one in Gujarat could kill any animals. So Hir Vijayji Maharaj had a lot of influence on King Akbar. Again, so other Acharya Maharaj's Nibadi Murti, it's dedicated over here. Then further along, not too far away from Valbipur, perhaps another just about 40-50 kilometers, is a place called Tagbi. And here there is a Murti of Muniswarat Swami Bhagwan. So again, quite nice to just stop, do your darshan and then move on. Then coming quite closer to Ahmedabad, there is another recently new tirth called Naukar Dham Tirth. And what's so special about this tirth is that the Murti is about 11.5 feet tall, so almost twice of a human height, and is the world's largest idol of Parshvanath Bhagwan in Ardha Padmasan Mudra. What does that Ardha Padmasan Mudra mean? So let's have a look at the next slide. most of our murtis આપણે પલોઠી વાળ્યા હોય એવી રીતના આપણી મૂર્તિ છે. But here, as you can see, that this leg is here, but this bottom leg is not coming. All the other murtis, this bottom leg would be coming and resting on this knee over here. But this is ardha mudrasan, so it's half a mudra, not the full one. The full one would be this leg on top of this. So that's kind of something unique about this murti here. And another murti here is the Ayodhyapuram Tirth. Again, a very vast complex here. And again, a colossal murti of Adeshwar Bhagwan. So it's a 23 feet murti of Lord Adeshwar Bhagwan. And the Shikhar dome is 108 feet high. And it's called Ayodhyapuram, as Ayodhya was the birthplace of Lord Adeshwar. And it's believed to be the world's biggest murti in sitting position. So 23 feet murti of Lord Adeshwar, perhaps one of the biggest murtis in the sitting position. As you can see in a small clip here, that this is the murti of the Adeshwar Bhagwan. And at the basement of this temple here, they've actually got an Agam Mandir. So they've kept different Agams here, and they've kept these Agams here, and they've replicated it. Just amazing, the feeling you get. It's just so peaceful to see. Like, look, they've made these murtis here, and but the Agams they've kept over here, and the color and everything just gives you such positive vibrations. So as you can,
sorry,
yeah.
Quick question. Are the agams also written by the Gandhar Bhagwan? And are the agams existent only in this kshetra, or are they in Bharat kshetra as well?
So the agams are compiled. So Lord Mahavir, the last Tirthankar, gave the preachings to his Ganadhars. He had 11 disciples, Gautam Swami and other one. And the person who had the longest lifespan was Sudharma Swami, the fifth disciple. So his lifespan was the largest of all the other Ganadhars. So Sudharma Swami then passed on the knowledge, and it went orally amongst all the different Acharya Maharajis as time went along. So at that time, obviously there was no agams written, but the knowledge of the agam was just passed on orally. And as I said, I can't remember the exact dates, but it's perhaps 500-600 years after Lord Mahavir. That's the time when the Acharya Mahajis of that time then decided, because there used to be a drought, many Sadhu Mahajis then passed away because of the drought, and they said that, look, we are losing all this knowledge over here. So that's the time when the agams were compiled. Now, the next question, whether the agams are in this, we are the Bharat Kshetra right now. So this is the Bharat Kshetra, and these are the agams over here. Jains do believe there is another parallel world somewhere else called Airavat. And obviously there's another Mahavidya Kshetra where Simandar Swami is. So that I do not know whether the agams, because my personal gut feeling is that if there is a Tirthankar Bhagwan in Mahavidya Kshetra, there'll be no agams present there, because he's actually there present right now, and he's preaching. So there wouldn't be any agams there. But Jains believe that within the Jain universe, this is the Madhya Lok. Bharat Kshetra is on the southern part. There is another on the northern part called Airavat. So which is almost like a parallel world to Bharat Kshetra. And what I mean by parallel world is, because we go through a time cycle. The first time cycle, second time cycle, third time cycle, all the way to sixth time cycle, and then sort of it reverts back up. So what they believe is Airavat is a parallel universe, because if you're in the fifth time cycle, it's fifth time cycle over there. When we go to the sixth one year, they will go to the sixth time cycle there. Because in Mahavidya Kshetra, they're always in the third and the fourth time cycle. There, the time cycle does not change. And that's the reason why in Mahavidya Kshetra, we believe there is a Tirthankar there at all times. There is never ever a time that there is not a Tirthankar in Mahavidya Kshetra. So that sort of gives you a small explanation. So my gut instinct says that in Airavat, which is another parallel universe, that there might be agams there present also. But that's again just a speculation. I mean, I haven't read across anything. It's my own personal view.
Okay. And just a quick one. The agmans are the preachings of Jainism. Is that a good definition of it?
Yes, so the agams are, there are quite a few agams written. And again, the agams are also broken down in different ones. It's called agams, and there's also called angas. So they are subsidiary limbs. So it's almost, the agams are personified as a human person. So they are the so we got our main limbs, hands, legs. So they are the 12 or 14, some agams have actually been lost, like Drishtivad, that agam has been lost. So most of them are there. So right now we have 12 agams. Then there are going to be some subsidiary agams. And then there are also Mul Sutras. So it's almost like saying that these are the core text. Then there's going to be subsidiary text, which gives further explanation to what's in the core text. And then there's also appendices. So a lot of people have then written commentaries on that. So a lot of so there'll be an agam, and then a lot of the Acharya Majis would have said, okay, this is how I think we should interpret these agams in this way or that way. So they're also, and then those are called niryuktis. So they're all subsidiary document. But for all intents and purposes, agams are supposed to be the preachings of the Lord. We do not have just one agam. You can't say like Bhagavad Gita is one or the Holy Quran is one. Generally, what has happened by de facto standard is that many people take Kalpa Sutra as so if you went into the court of law and in the court and saying like I want to swear by the Jain agams, then people generally give the Kalpa Sutra, which is recited. But it could be one of there is Acharang Sutra, which is an agam, and there are many other agams there. But it's just happened that by convention, people now tend to use Kalpa Sutra as because generally what happens is Kalpa Sutra is then considered by both Digambars and the Swetambars. So there is no kind of saying that, oh, we don't believe in this, because many of the agams which Swetambars have, the Digambars don't believe, because Digambars believe that all the agams have been lost. And these are just interpretations of what the Acharya Maharishis have written down. So Digambars do not believe in some of the agams which the Swetambars believe in. So there's also a little bit of kind of differences between Swetambars and Digambars.
Thank you.
Yeah. So these are kind of some of the agams over here. So you can see these are the texts, the books over here, and here there's a brief description. Different agams deal with different things. Some deal with the cosmology, some deal with the code of conduct of the Sadhu Maharajas, some deal with metaphysics. So all these, they're different agams which will deal with different topics. So this is again Ayodhya Puram, again sort of amazing colossal statues of the Gant. They've also got a very bhojanshala over there, and sometimes you get an opportunity to sadhune vorava mate. It's again a great love. And against and near this temple here, they've also got shrines of all the 24 Tirthankars, and these are statues of their mother and father. So it's almost direct choice Bhagwan for all 24 Tirthankars. They've got kind of idols of their mother and father, and then holding the Tirthankar in there. So it's just quite nice to see all the 24 Tirthankars and then shrines dedicated to their parents. So as you can see, it's a vast complex over here. So now what will happen is that at this stage here, we finished the Gujarat trip, and then we actually went into Maharashtra. So we actually then took a flight from Ahmedabad. We go to Pune, and then from Pune, Pune is over here. And then from Pune, then we went sort of kind of this area here to do this jatra around this area here. So this is now in Maharashtra, and as you can see, this is called Jahaj Mandir. A unique tirth place. I mean, very few places you'll have seen there are built in the shape of a boat. Now, one of the reasons is why it's in the shape of a boat is because apna Bhagwan Tirthankar kehvai. And a Tirthankar, as I mentioned either in the first or the second class we had, Tirthankar means a ford maker, one who helps us to cross the cycle of birth and death. Sansar. Sansar is considered to be like an ocean because we are constantly being born and we are dying in this sansar. So someone who helps you cross over and then hope and take us to moksha is a Tirthankar. So Tirthankar is then personified like a boat, because Bhagwan is going to be taking us from one end to another end here. So a very beautiful temple. There's a temple over here, and there's in the bottom part of this ship or boat, they've got a museum, and then they illustrate different aspects of the Jain philosophy. So as you can see, that in the museum over there, they've got all these different templates there, and you can say Dhyan ki na karu, and as you can see that if you have got time, then it really explains to you. And this, as you can see over here, is like personifying our spinal cord. Okay, basically, Dhyan Karoma, they say that you really need to focus on your spinal cord and then recite all these different mantras over here, and what are the benefits of these different mantras here. That's kind of different depiction of Bhagwan Mahavir creation, and everyone's sort of listening to them. Mudra karya, if you want to do mantra, how can you use your fingers and then recite the mantras? So all these kind of very fascinating things to learn, things which we might not have learned before, and you can see all these things depicted in the museum at the bottom part of that ship. again, a vast complex over here. And, it's sort of, they've made it so serene that, they've even got like a Murti of Bhagwan out in the open landscape. And you almost like feel that this is how it would have been in Bhagwan. Bhagwan was not in Derasas when Bhagwan Mahavir was walking on the earth. He must just have been walking freely on earth, and here, in midst of animals and everything. So very serene landscape and very nice to go and visit to the Jatra over here. Now, in the same complex over here, they say that sometimes holy snakes come out in a Nagbapa. And I haven't witnessed it myself, but people say that, if sometimes you come out, it comes out of this kind of made out of kind of, ant hill or something. And the snake comes up here, and people sometimes come here, nadir ke na chadave here, with a view of bada maini hoy ke, if they've just done anything. So from that point of view, people come here and they pay their respects. These are supposed to be quite holy snakes, so they're not ferocious, and and people come and pay their respects over here. Now, from this terasa here, from this Jahaj Mandir, just literally you can see there's another temple called Kumbhojgiri, and it's kind of on a kind of on top of a hilltop, and it's actually called the Satrunjay of South Maharashtra. And there's also at the bottom of this temple here, there is a statue of Bahubali. As you know, basically what happens is in the southern part of India, they mainly have a lot of reference for Bahubali. Now, Bahubali was Adeshwar Bhagwan's son. And as people who have been to Bangalore, you might have been to the huge statue of Bahubali at Gometswar. And so many people in southern India, and even especially the Digambars, they have a lot of temples dedicated to Bahubali. Bahubali is also gone into moksha. So there are also a lot of shrines dedicated to Bahubali. So when you come here, there are about 400 steps to get to the top of the hill. And you can see that these are some of the temples and the complex over here. When you climb to the top at Kumbhojgiri, there are actually two temples here. One is a Tin Murti Mandir. This is for the Digambars. And within the same complex, as you can see, this is the Digambar temple. And just next to it is a Shwetambar temple. And they were all kind of built around the early part of the 19th century, 1869, 1878 AD. And the Murti here is of Jagvallabh Parshvanath Bhagwan, Jagvallabh. So as you can see, this is the climb up. And when you climb up, they've got a Murti of Bahubali over here. So this Murti here is right by the trees over here. So it's really right at the top. Now, what's unique, when you went into the Shwetambar temple, so you've gone inside the temple, but again, there's a door which goes into a cellar. So like a basement. So, they open this door, you come down this flight of stairs, and here there is a very ancient Murti of Ajitnath Bhagwan. So again, just amazing to see, and especially I like this tirths here, because when you go to Girnar or Palikan or Sankeshwar, there's so many people, so many jatradu, but over here, there's hardly anyone, and you really feel so much at peace, and you can do darshan with such tranquility. What's very interesting about this tirth over here is that they're actually murtis under the open sky. This is very unique. Generally, apne tirth ma jaye che ke derasar jaye che. So that's, you always believe there's a construction, there's a temple. But here is amazing that these are just murtis here, very ancient and right out under the open sky. Now, if you did some research, this is actually called Chaitya. Apne derasama Chaitya mandan kare che. So Chaitya is actually a word which actually implied like this is how temples were created in the ancient times. There were not kind of concrete buildings or buildings. Murtis were out in the open sky, so which implied that there used to be a tree with a mound of stone surrounding it. So almost like this. So there's a tree around here, there's a mound of stone, and there's a murti over here, and that's a chaitya. So in the olden days, this is what would be a temple. And going here, it really takes you back in time. You almost don't feel that you're in the 21st or 20th century. You almost now feel, okay, here I am. Look at the trees here. Look at the aerial roots here. I mean, these are old. It really gives you that feeling of like you're way back in time, and you get such a blissful feeling doing jatra over here. And you can even see that most of these murtis here have been affected due to the weather conditions. You can see the erosion on the murtis. So that was the there. Fortunately, when I was in this area here, Acharya Maharaj, Acharya Mahashraman, he's the head of the Therapan sect. So as you know, we have the Svetambars and there are lots of Acharya Maharajis. So there is the Acharya Mahashraman, he's the head of, over here you got the Jain Vishwabharati. So he's the Guru Maharaj, the head of the Therapan sect. So it was quite fortunate for me to meet him and get his blessings. Also, it was quite nice to see that when he was there, this is a Digambar Maharaj. And as you know, Digambar Maharajis don't wear any clothes. They really are monks and monks almost at the time of Bhagwan Mahavir, when they said they literally they wear no clothes and they've taken monkhood. And here is Acharya Mahashraman. And just to see the unification that, you know, we are all devotees of Lord Mahavir. Doesn't matter whether you're Therapanthi, but doesn't matter whether you are Digambar, but we are all one. And it was just nice to see unification of two different sects and all together. This is another temple just in that area here. So finally, we left that Sangli area and now coming to Mumbai. So this is coming towards the end of the trip right now. So coming to Mumbai, and this is one of, if you've gone to Bombay, this is one of the oldest temples of Bombay, the Godiji Parsonath. It's in the Paidhuni area. And as I said, so this is one of the first temples in Bombay which was being built. And in fact, the person who built this temple, he's the same person who built one of the tuks. Like if you see my background, Palitana, one of the tuks was built by the same person who built this temple here. And also what's very special about Godiji Parsonath is that the Godiji, the Murti of Parsonath Bhagwan is believed to have come from Pakistan. So Godiji, there is actually a temple in Godiji in Pakistan. But at the time of the partition, then obviously, then they took the Murti away from them and brought it over here. So this Murti is actually believed to be from the before the partition in the Pakistan area. Again, as you can see, and this temple was built because prior to this, the Murti was actually in a small wooden temple, and then it caught fire. And then they decided to build another temple over here. So again, right in the heart of Bombay, this is a kind of a 3-story building, great architecture. And as you can see, in fact, a wonderful chandelier over here. At the bottom is Parsonath Bhagwan Murti. And this is the Murti of Godiji Parsonath. So then on the following day, not too far away from, so if I just went back from Bombay, it's almost about 70-80 kilometers away, and that's called Manas Mandir Tirth. This is actually quite a recent tirth, and a lot of people from Bombay actually they do a jatra over here. It's also called Shahpur. So this is kind of a relatively new temple which is being built, and again covering a vast complex area. As you can see, some photos I got from the internet. A beautiful temple. Now, this temple here is very well known for, again, as I mentioned, Nag Bapa, the holy snakes. So, and I've been here about 3 or 4 times, and fortunately, all the 3 or 4 times I've been able to witness the holy snakes who have come here. And on this occasion here, I actually came with my Masi. She's actually blind in both the eyes. And can you see the snake over here on the top part? The snake was actually right inside here. It was just not coming out. So we waited for about 15 minutes and it just did not come out. Then I started reciting a mantra, Saraswati Mateno mantra che, Om Arhan Mukha Kamla Asini, Papatma Shayankari, Shrutagnana Jwala Sahasra Jolide Saraswati, Matapapam, Hana Hana, Daha Sham, Shim, Shum, Shom, Shah, Shira Davale, Amrita Sambhave, Vam Vam, Hum Hum Swaha. And I recited that continuously, and slowly the snake started emerging out. And again, a wonderful sight to see. And the snake is actually right by a murti over here, which is called Kshatrapal ni Murti che. So Kshatrapal again is a dev personified in the form of a snake. So amuk je dev devi hoy, they've been personified in the shape of a snake, and therefore this snake actually came out, and in a way we believe that he was doing darshan of this murti over here. Again, the same concept over here. A lot of people come and sort of take nadir and then put it on the trees here, because the snakes are supposed to be within here. So this was a snake over here. When I came here in the past, you can see in this one here, it's a gray colored snake. in one of my previous trips when I went. You can see the head of the snake over here. This is the head over here, and there's a snake here. So again, many people go there, and if you're lucky, you are able to do the darshan over here. So that basically is it. And after the Shahpur, we obviously came back to London. So now what I will be doing is just doing the Palitana Jatra. So let me just. Any questions whilst I bring the Palitana?
Nothing at my end.
Sorry, I've just received a question.
Yeah.
Please, can you explain the significance of the Saraswati Mata Shlok for making snake emerge?
Okay, I mean, it's not that I made the snake emerge. I just recited this mantra, which I knew, the Saraswati Mata mantra. This mantra is actually like આપણે સરસ્વતી માતા છે તો એના there are quite a few મંત્ર. કલાના કંદમ મંદિર કરે છે એમાં પણ એક મંત્ર આવે છે. કલ્યાણ કંદમ પડમમ જિંદમ સંતિમ તો નેમિજન મણિંદમ. પછી છેલ્લે કુંદિંદુ ગોખીર તુષારવન્ના સરોજ હતા કમલે નિસન્ના વાયે શ્રી પુથ્થય વગતા સુહાય સામાસય પ્રસત્તા. So there are different mantras of Saraswati Matra. So Saraswati Matra mantras are quite useful, especially when our children or kids are young. You recite this mantra, we hope that it blesses you with knowledge. So this is just a mantra I knew, and it could be a coincidence that when I recited them, it's not like I recited the mantra and the snake came out, but I just felt that we were there for 15-20 minutes. The snake was just in that hole, not coming out. And then as soon as I started reciting the mantra, I don't have the time now, but I've actually even, one of my friends was with me that recorded a video clip. So as soon as I started reciting the mantra, the snake started coming out. So yeah, so it's just a Saraswati Mata mantra. And I think this mantra is the Shramnijis who are here in London, they are the ones who taught it to me. And they said it's coming from one of the scriptures. So the old scriptures. So that's where they got this mantra from. Yeah, let me just share. Am I sharing my screen? Or can you see the screen or you can't?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to put it on? Yeah.
Any other questions or should I just move on?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so 8:35. So we got about half an hour 40. Yeah, I mean, this, the Palitana Bhavyatra is actually a presentation on its own. Last time I did it with the SCVP school, we're running for about 1.5 hours. So I think it's quite an extensive presentation of Palitana, and please stop me wherever we need to stop because, there are quite a few slides and we'll see how far we get to. Now, Palitana, or as someone pointed out last time, it's called Satrunjay. It's got various names, Pundarika Giri, Siddhagiri. So there are lots of names. One of the holiest sites for Jains, and it's also called a city of temples. And so let's just embark on. I mean, this is if you went from London, the excitement building up. So imagine if we had planned a trip to go to Palitana right now, the excitement you have, oh yeah, I'm going for a Jatra. Just very quickly, one of the best ways to get to Palitana is either you go to Bombay, so you get to Bombay over here, and then either you can take a train, so you can take the Shatabdi Express from Bombay to Ahmedabad, or you can fly to Ahmedabad, and then from Ahmedabad it's literally about a 4 hours drive to Palitana here. So as you can see, from Ahmedabad to Palitana. Again, so we started on this particular trip here. We started from Ahmedabad and we are going towards Palitana. One of the interesting things, someone asked about the mantras. There's another mantra here, which whenever we as a family, we go and do any trips, then we do recite this mantra, which is known for safe journey. Om, Fum, Shrim, Reem, Aim, Nama, Pa, Tha, Tha, Swaha. And as you can see on the slide here, we tend to recite, it's said that you recite it about 21 times. People just believe that it creates a positive atmosphere. If there are any obstacles, then it's just a mantra. If you have faith in it, you just believe. So this is a mantra for safe journey. People, like, you have different medicines for different ailments. People who are experts in the mantra sastra, then the other ones would say that this mantra is effective for safe journey. So you're now starting your journey and going towards Palitana. So as you were going from Ahmedabad to Palitana here, I think we already covered that these are some of the different tirths. You come Balbipur, as you see, we have already been there. So Ayodhyapuram, Tagdi. So if you get a chance, it's worth. There's actually even a map of different Jain places. So if you wanted to plan a trip, and if you had more time, you can see here that, oh yeah, there's a Jain temple here, Dwarka, Mathar Taraf, Javano. So you can, and it also gives you distance in terms of kilometers. So, if you wanted to plan a trip and saying, I've got more days there, then you could actually say, look, I'm going to be spending 4 or 5 days here, and you could be then visiting all these various Jatrani places. And that's how I actually planned my trip, knowing how much time I had going from point A to point B, and then seeing what's coming along the route, and then what Jatras you are able to do. So we already seen this one here. So now this is Palitana over here. Let me. So, oops, sorry. I think I shouldn't do escape. 1 second. Can you see the screen again? Sorry, Kavit, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
we can,
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks, Mira. Yeah. So as you can see that I've just put some stubborns behind this, and now as you're climbing the mountain, and when you start seeing the peaks here, you are like literally feeling so ecstatic that here I am coming closer and closer. So this is right at the bottom here, the Jambudip Dwar. So there's just entrance gate in Palitana. Now, as you are coming to Palitana, then what you can see is that a lot of dharamshalas in Palitana. So there's an Oshwal dharamshala here, Kasturdham, Agam Mandir. So these are some of the kind of the popular ones here. But there's a whole list of various dharamshalas here, and you can then choose where you want to stay for the night. So this is where we stayed at Agam Mandir. Again, very, very close to the base mountain. And also they've also built recently a very tall statue of Adesha Bhagwan here. And as you can see, the behind is literally the Palitana mountain. Or Satrunjay mountain. Palitana is a city, yep. So again, very decent accommodations here at Agam Mandir. And again, from the balcony, you can see the temples of the Satrunjay mountain. And this is also recently a new tirth which has been built, Kirtistam. Now, people believe that Palitana is going to become shorter and shorter in size. This is kind of what people believe. And this is again the effects of the time cycle. So as I mentioned, that there is a time cycle, first, second, third, fourth. We are in the 5th time cycle. And in the 6th time cycle, it will just be 7 hand height from the sea level. So this holy hill's height will increase and decrease, but it will never perish. It is ad infinitum. That's why it's called Shashwat Tirth. Shashwat means it's eternal. Depending on, like, you have earthquakes, and earthquakes comes, then, things could sort of come down. And then you could have, at the time of the first or second time period, you could have actually mountains arising. So depending on the different time cycle, it's still believed that the Palitana mountain will become huge or could become very small, but it is always going to be there. It's never going to perish, Palitana. And that's why it's called Shashwat, eternal. Now, importance of Palitana. Lord Simandar Swami has said there is no pilgrim center equal to Holy Satrunjay in the whole universe. So again, just gives you the feeling that, why this is supposed to be like the Mecca for the Jains. That once in a lifetime, if you get an opportunity, you really have to do this Jatra at the Satrunjay mountain. ના આપણે ઘણીવાર સ્તવનમાં આવે છે સિદ્ધાચલ સમરુ સદા સોરઠ દેશ મોજાર મનુષ્ય જન્મ પામી કરી વંદુ વાર હજાર. So this Stavan is saying that a human being is blessed after visiting Siddhachal Palitana. There are infinite souls who attain moksha from here, and infinite will go to moksha from here. That's why when you're walking here, the feeling you get, kakre, every single soil particle is holy and pious. Every single soil particle. So as we are holy, because we believe millions and millions and almost infinite people have gone to moksha from here, and infinite will go in the future. So you can imagine you're almost walking the path of such people who will go, and hopefully you also will get to moksha from here. So you get that feeling, wow, every single particle here is holy and sort of, very positive. So as I mentioned to you before, this is the Taleti, the base of the Palitana mountain, and people, then you start your jatra. Many people do a Chaityamandan year. So you start your jatra by doing a Chaityamandan year early morning, and then you start your climb. And right at the ceiling over here on the top, on the top, so as you can see on the top here is this image, and very, very artistically done. Bhagwan life history, Bhagwans have got different kalyanaks, birth, diksha, Kevalgan. So all this is kind of very, very meticulously depicted on the ceiling over here. So again, just the Taleti. And inside the shrines here, there are footsteps of different Bhagwans. Adeshwar Bhagwan, Nemina Bhagwan, Juda Juda Bhagwan, there are footsteps of the different Bhagwans over here. So again, as you can see, that's the people just doing the jatra here. Now, every mountain, as I mentioned before, has got a Adhisthayik Dev, a Dev who is supposed to protect the pilgrims who come here. So if you went to Summit Chikar, it's called Bhumyaji. Okay, you start your jatra by giving your obeisance to Bhumyaji. Apne Girnar gaya tha, to Girnar Ambika Mata no tya, there's a shrine, and then you start your jatra. So in Palitana, just by the Taleti, there is a shrine dedicated to Kavada Yaksh. And Kavada Yaksh no tame karo, so he's supposed to be the guide and deity. When you pray to him, hopefully I should not get any problems, and may my jatra occur peacefully. So again, you just give your obeisance to Kavada Yaksh. How did this Yaksh come here? Again, I suggest to you go to the website, Jain Treasures and Palitana, and there's a fascinating story of how he became a Yaksh. He was actually a drunkard in his previous life. And from a drunkard, how did he actually become a Dev is again a very fascinating history. Yeah, so you can in the interest of time, I will not read this, but again you can read this at your own time. So you start your darshan over here. So again, that stavan, again, it's quite long. I will not play it fully, but it's Siddha Chaline Krodo Pranam. Thousands and millions with Vandan Karochu. Then what happens is that this is now literally the starting point of the jatra. But before you start and climbing up here, the jatra, most people tend to go through this Babunu Derasar. Now, again, a very fascinating story of how this came along. But in a nutshell, what happened was the Babu, he was a very wealthy merchant. And he said that his mother used to do Palitana Jatra very regularly. But when she became quite old, she could not climb the mountain. So he then decided, why don't I create a temple right at the base of the mountain? And so that my mom, who is now almost in the final stages of her life, can still do the Jatra. So he's created a temple here dedicated to Adeshwar Bhagwan. And we will cover as we go through the presentation, that right at the top of Palitana, there is Ryan na Pagla. There's a tree called Ryan. A Ryan Ujjad. So he's also created a replica of the Ryan tree. So almost creating an exact replica of what's at the top, at the bottom here. So people who are quite old and frail can at least then just come here and then do the jatra at the bottom over here. So this is the kind of the history of this Babunu Derasar, that he built it in memory of his mother, and he was again a very, very wealthy merchant at that time. And this is the Ryan nut tree. So this tree is actually even right at the top of the mountain. So again, generally when you start Palitana or Girnar, if you're going to be climbing, you start quite early morning. You want to start the jatra literally around 5:36 in the morning, so that you before the sun rises, you're able to have covered quite a long distance. So after you've done the Babunu Derasar, so this is the exit point, and if you've taken a doli, most doli people will wait for you here, and then you can start your jatra. So again, you start early morning, and you just want to do the jatra. And as you climb up and you start looking behind, you can now see that the city you're leaving behind. And, just gives you a feeling, okay, wow, you've just started your journey and, you see, wow, how far you've climbed up. Now, this is Satrunjay Nadi, so which is the river Satrunjay. So let's just play a short stavan. So again, a beautiful stavan, sort of based on Satrunjay Nadi. And there's even another stavan which says, Satrunjay Nadi naine mukha bandi mukha kosh. So it makes me believe that in the olden days, people would actually take a bath in Satrunjay Nadi. You generally take a bath to get clean, and then you climb a jatra, and then they would then start the jatra over here. So again, very holy river here. Many people, including my grandfather's wishes were that his ashes were to be, so when he passed away, that, my ashes to be scattered in Satrunjay Nadi. So this is again, very, very holy, just like you go to the Ganges for the Hindus, and they would like them, their ashes to be scattered there. For the Jains, this is one of the places where people really believe with a strong affinity. So here it is. We've now started the jatra, and what's unique about Palitana is quite a few steps. Then you climb, and then there's again going to be quite a few flat ground. Then again steps, and then again a flat ground. So it's quite a decent climb. It's not that tiring. So So as you can see, just the stavans will give you bhav to this. You can hear the stavans properly, right? Is the voice okay?
Yeah, sorry, yes, we can hear it.
Okay, that's fine. So this stavan is actually quite interesting. What he's saying, कि अपना mantra ma Naukar mantra is supposed to be the most important mantra. Out of all the mantras there are, Naukar mantra is Maha mantra keche. So again, Satrunjay nepan Maha tirth keche. Out of all the tirth places here, but Satrunjay is unique. It is the foremost. So again, that's how the stavan is kind of giving comparison. Again, a very beautiful depiction of someone like an artist of Sadhu Maharaj's sort of coming down Palitana mountain. So again, there you can see Satrunjay has got many different names: Vimala Giri, Satrunjay Giri, Pundarika Giri. So again, there are lots of names for this holy mountain.
Rajiv Bhai, sorry,
Yeah.
I've just received a question. What does Rain Pagla mean? Is it connected to the tree?
Yes. So and let me just hold on to that question when we come to Raina Pagla. So that's the time when I'll explain it. So just
Sure.
it's just a few more slides away.
Thank you.
Again, what a beautiful sight here. A small child just dolima jatra karave છે, just amazing. In the olden days, there also used to be this kind of parab kevai, this kind of here. People used to take shelter, and people, maybe there used to be a well, and people wanted some water, then they could take some water from the well. So along the way, you will find quite of these resting places. Now, Hingaraji Maharaj. So as you climb up, just sort of you're climbing up, and then, as you, people who have been there, you'll remember there's a kind of a bend here. There's actually a small shrine dedicated to Hingaraji Maharaj. Again, a very fascinating history. It's shrine dedicated to Hinglaj Devi, and it's the name given to goddess Ambika, who is the female attendant of the 22nd Jina Neminath Bhagwan. And according to tradition, she fought a victorious battle against a local demon, Hingul, who used to frighten pilgrims. The beaten demon asked Ambika to have enough mercy to keep his name. So what happened was the demon used to actually harass all the pilgrims. And eventually, he was kind of subdued by the Ambika Mata, because she was saying, "Ki badha jatra loko ne heran kare che." But then, when that kind of the evil demon, kind of his dying wishes was, "Please, I'm very sorry for what I've done, but at least in my name, please keep this shrine, rather than calling Ambaji no shrine, call it like Hingaraji Mataji no shrine." So it's kind of saying that at least people will remember who I am. So that's kind of, again, you can see the history written over here. And I think what's nice to do is and one of the reasons for me to create that website is when people go for this jatra is to know the history associated behind them. Otherwise, you just come, pay your respects and move on. Or sometimes you will not even notice that there is a shrine over here. So I think it would be so nice to understand before you did a jatra, to understand some of the significance and historical basis. So this is one of the jatras here. In fact, this is when I took during one, my son had a half term, 1 week or half term, and we went to Girnar and Palitana, and the Sadhu Maharaj was quite amazed to see that someone from England coming over, and the only mission was just to do jatra for the entire week. If you went up, further up, still we have not reached the top. There is actually a shrine dedicated to Padmavati Mata over here. So there's Padmavati Mata over here, and there's also along this corridor, there are all the 24 Tirthankarna. There are actually shrines dedicated to them, and there's a brief history written about them. Who was a mother, who was a father, when did they gain Keval Gnan, when did they get moksha. So all this, as you can see right in the background here, all these different shrines at the top here. But a beautiful shrine dedicated to Padmavati Mata. Here again, there is, as you climb along, there are some shrines dedicated to Ram, Bharat, and then Sholacharya. And again, why you can then again go to the website, and I've given some history as to why these are some of the shrines dedicated to them over here. So Thavachaputra. So and there's a history associated, one of these persons over here was Thavachaputra. So who was he, and why is his murti over here? What's also interesting to see that Palitana has also got associated with Ram, the 5 Pandavas, Ram, Bharat, and then you can see the symbiosis between Hinduism and Jainism. There is quite a lot of similarities, and so sometimes people are very narrow-minded. Oh, I'm a Hindu, cha Jain che, but sometimes it all blends together. So this is again statues of Dravid and Varikil. And they were Adeshwar Bhagwan's, 2 of the Adeshwar Bhagwan's 102 children. And again, an interesting story of how they even attained moksha and what they did. And then the idols are put over here. Yeah, again, as I said, in the interest of time, I'll just move on. But there's again an interesting story recited on Dravid and Varikil. If you then went along, there is another shrine dedicated to Kalikund Parshvanath Bhagwan. Again, and this is also quite interesting to see. It is said that Parshvanath Bhagwan once stood in deep meditation in Kadamgiri. remember we did Kadamgiri, so it is just within the vicinity of Palitana mountain. The air was warm and still. Suddenly a magnificent bull elephant emerged from the thorn bush and saw Parshvanath Bhagwan standing still. Framed by foliage and morning sun's soft golden light, the elephant was filled with devotion. He went and brought water in his trunk and poured it on Parshvanath Bhagwan as if doing Abhishek. Bhagwan and Navadaveche. He then placed flowers at his reverent feet. The elephant eventually died and went to heaven. So Devlok. In his memory, footprints were placed here in 1780. So just amazing to see, what's the history behind this Kalikund Parshvanath Bhagwan. Here is again a very fascinating story of a shrine dedicated to Sukoshal Muni. Again, I will let you read it at your own time, but just amazing a story of a son, a queen, and a king, and how the mother was against the father and the son, and yet a fascinating story of how the son actually then achieved liberation from this mountain. Sometimes ritually are sung over here, and people are just rejoicing and dancing when you come here. So when you have climbed sort of almost you have almost done about more than half of the distance, you'll actually come to a fork. And the fork this is going to the main temple, and the other fork is going to Nautuk. So these are again 9 different temples around the main temple, Derasar, Adeshwar Bhagwan. So most of the time when people don't have enough time, then you just go to the main Adeshwar Bhagwan and then just come back. In fact, last time when I went, this was the first time I had gone to the Nautuk, and again, fascinating temples over there, and again, rich in history for each of those different temples. So you can almost do a circular. You can go to the main temple and then descend along the Nautuk. Such a brilliant thing. Mara Nayana, my eyes are blessed that today here I am and doing the Jatra of Palitana. So just what kind of devotion. But today my eyes are so blessed that here I am and doing the Jatra of Shatrunjay. So again, as you can see, just climbing towards the top. Now this is almost now reaching towards the top. There are over 3,500 steps to get right to the top here. And again, Shatrunjay Nadi, you can see. So again, Pali. So this is just, I'm trying to bring the water back to London here. So thinking it's very holy waters. So just filling up some water and just bringing it back. So as you see, there are quite a few gates when you enter now. So now this is almost entering the premises of Shatrunjay. So this is called Rampol. So this is like one of the first gates when you enter the complex. The next one is Vaganpol. This is called Vaganpol here. And Vagan means tigress in Gujarati. To the right of the gate is a carving of a tigress. So yeah, so there is a tiger over here, which is how this gate got its name. Two brothers Vastupal and Tejpal built this gate approximately 800 years ago in the memory of a brave man, Veer Vikram Singh. It is said that the tigress was killing and scaring away pilgrims coming here. So what the story was, that there used to be a tiger and he, Koipan pilgrims away, he just used to kill them. And people were so scared of climbing Palitana that almost people stopped climbing Palitana mountain. So at one point, Veer Vikram Singh, he actually went to his bhabhi's house for lunch. The food was not tasty and not nice, so he actually made a taunt to his bhabhi. Asu khaun ki na keru che, and what is this? But the bhabhi did not take that lightly. Okay, why are you taking out anger on me? If you're such a great and brave man, go to Palitana mountain and subdue the tiger. Why are you taking out? Why are you telling me if you're such a strong and person? So he took that as a challenge. So he then went to the Palita mountain and started climbing up. And his friend saying, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going right to the top and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to overcome the tiger." He says, "Are you crazy? The tiger is going to kill you." He says, "No." He says, I've made a sort of almost like a bet with my bhabhi that I'm going to go and do it. So then two of his friends came along with him. He said, "Okay, we'll accompany you." And as soon as they reached almost towards this gate over here, then the other friends, they were scared. So they actually went back. Veer Vikram then started shouting, "Come on, tiger, where are you? Come out." So tiger was like, came out. There was a fierce battle. And what he told his friends, "Okay, look, you don't come any further. What if I manage to overcome the tiger, I will go and hit the gunt. If you hear the sound of the gunt, you know that I've succeeded. If not, then you know that I've been killed." And after a fierce battle, obviously the tiger has actually maimed the Veer Vikram Singh. He's bleeding, and eventually he then obviously kills the lion, the tiger, and just drenched in blood, he manages just to go to the temple, hear the gunt, and then strike the gunt. And that's when his friends know that he's actually overcome and killed the tiger. So this is a kind of a gate dedicated to him. But amazing story. Can you imagine, like, from what one taunt from the bhabhi to sort of being personified, idolized on this mountain here, Veer Vikram Singh. But we pass here Bhaganpol all the time, but not knowing what's the significance of these statues here. So as you can see, so Bhaganpol, then there are a few temples along the way, Neminath Nichori, and then this is going towards the main temple here. So Bhaganpol, Hathipol, Ratanpol. So these are quite a few of these gates as you're going along towards the main temple. Yeah, resting place of the people, the Doli people. So they'll leave you here and then you can carry on. This is where you would then, if you want to do puja, you would go to the puja room here, keep your belongings and then get ready for doing puja. At the opposite here, you can also see people selling flowers. So some significance of the Ratan pole. And now this is actually the main temple. Adeshwar Bhagwan nu, the main temple. This is the main temple over here. Again, scores of people over here. So they start early morning, Pakshal Karamate. Then you wanted to get ready. There's a long queue of people. You actually have to even get tickets. Depending on how quickly you climb to the top, there are different colored tickets. So if you started your journey at 5:36, you got there quite early, then you'll get a particular color of ticket. And based on the color of the tickets, that's when you get to do the puja, go in. So as you can see, the gate, there are these sidebars here, and then the people are just waiting in the queue. So 78 full foot tall spire. People generally say Nisihi. Even after Portos Bar Derasono Panjay, people there's a tendency of saying Nisihi. It signifies that you're leaving behind worldly thoughts at the door and entering the temple. Leaving behind all the worldly thoughts, and now I'm going to be in pure spiritual devotion. Adeshwar Bhagwan Murti, about 2.16 meters tall, carved in marble, and it's in the Padmasana posture. And this is the Murti. People, you've been waiting for all this time to do Bhagwani Darshana Murti Karamate. This is the Adeshwar Bhagwani Murti. I mean, out of all, so it's just amazing. You feel so ecstatic. So as you can see here, a lot of sadhu Maharajis are sitting here, and you'd get here, people are doing puja. So there's a long queue of people doing puja over here, and this is the Adeshwar Bhagwani Murti. So the question was Raina Pagla. So this is a tree right at the top, and it is believed that Adeshwar Bhagwan climbed Satrunjay mountain 99 times. So right from the bottom to the top, and this is where it is believed that this is the place where he came on the top here. So ane Raina Pagla kevai. And as you can see, Adeshwar Bhagwan Pagla che. So this white the white shrine here over here has got this Adeshwar Bhagwan Pagla. So this is called the Rhine Ujjad. Now I've heard of a fable. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but what I've heard anecdotally is that if the leaf of this tree falls on your head naturally without you plucking it, then it's supposed to be very, very holy. That perhaps an indication of you going to moksha quite soon. But that's supposed to be very, very pious. What I did was I found some leaves at the bottom and just picked them up and brought them back as kind of as a good luck. But obviously you don't want to pluck any leaves over here. So this is Rain Ujjad, Rain Pagla. Full. So it's saying within 3 births you will actually attain moksha according to Stuti. Adeshwar Bhagwan 99 times ayata. So anyway, again, the stavan depicts what it is. So it is believed that Adinath Bhagwan meditated and preached under this tree, and that demigods reside in each and every leaf and branch of this tree. They worshipped an Adinath idol made of precious stones placed here by King Bharat. People go 3 times around the tree. So the main temple here is Adishwar Bhagwan temple here, and Adishwar Bhagwan's grandson was Pundarik Swami. So opposite here is Pundarik Swami. So it's almost like face to face. The grandson is facing his grandfather. Obviously, Pundarik Swami also has gone to moksha. But again, the temples are opposite one another. There is again another miraculous Suparshvanath Bhugandi Murti over here. So in this temple, you will see a 2-inch small black idol flanked by 2 larger idols. The idol in the center is considered to be miraculous. There is a story behind why it's been placed here in the center. Every morning when the pujari came to the temple and opened the doors, they would find this idol seated in the lap of Adinath Bhagwan in the main temple. So again, some stories on this. કે આ ભગવાનની મૂર્તિ જે છે જ્યારે પૂજારી આવે તો ભગવાનના હાથમાં they used to find this મૂર્તિ seated on the ભગવાનના હાથમાં. Again, within the temple complex, there is a sort of a shrine in the shape of Ashtapad. And Ashtapad Parvat che, right now we believe Ashtapad is invisible. We do not know where it's Ashtapad Parvat. But Gautam Swami and others had gone to Ashtapad Parvat. So again, there is a whole representation of Ashtapad Parvat over here. And again, over here you can see there is statues of Ravan and his wife Mandodari. And again, it's interesting story to see that why they are being depicted over here, Ravan and Mandodari. Very interesting over here is again Pap Punyani Bari. Now, this is again what has been passed on from generations to generations, and it is believed that if you are able to crawl through this camels, the hole underneath the camel, then tumhara bada paap dhowai jai. Now, this is again some story which has been passed through, because we know that nothing can remove our sins. So it's not factually true. But there is some kind of story behind why people have then sort of said, if you are, and I've actually seen many people who are very, very obese, then really trying hard to get through this hole over here. But it's some kind of, as I said, your grandparents tell you, you tell your kids, and it's just that story which is carried forward, which I've been told by my grandparents. If you go through here, tumhara bada paap dhowai jai. So you have to take it at face value. Obviously, you cannot be. Okay, you do all the wrong things in the world, you crawl through here, and then all your sins are washed away. But why did this come along? And what is this? Again, if you went to the website, there's a story of there used to be Uday and Mantri, and the person who is sitting on here is Uday and Mantri. And why is this statue being placed here? Is interesting story. Yeah, so I will just move. It's 9:15. Let me. So I'll just go Chakeshwari Devini Murti. There's again Neminath Bhagwan. In this temple here, very, very beautifully depicted Bhagwan Neminath Bhagwani. Ratne Pachovado, Iloka Lagan Kare che, Mandap Raika che. So very, very beautiful, intricate carvings inside this temple here. So here, as you can see, like here, these are like Mandap Kairoche and again interesting carvings. Some Acharya, just giving a depicted. So this is the Nautuk. So I'll just go very quickly, within 5 minutes, see how much I can cover. Now, this is now part of the Nautuk now. Very interesting. I will not go into that much detail. There is a Muslim shrine on Palitana. And it's called Pirdar Graha, a Muslim shrine. And people go, I was actually flabbergasted when I first saw it. And there's a fascinating story of why there's a Muslim shrine. Even Muslims come here and pray on Palitana mountain. So this is the Nautuks. As you can see, the nine Tuks, they all call here Balajini Tuk, Adabjini Derasar, Modini Tuk. So these are all the names of the temples over here built by different peoples. So that's called the 9 Tuks. So 1, 2, 3. So the 9 different temples on a different part of the mountain. Again, very fascinating story of some of the people over here. One was absolutely very poor, became very rich. And then, in fact, over here, interestingly, this used to be a very deep canyon. And the person who wanted to build a derasar over here, there was just no way, there was no foundation. So what he did was got lots of stones because he was so very wealthy. and almost made it like a flat ground to build the foundation of this temple here. Otherwise, it was like a deep gorge. So again, a lot of story between different names of Shatrunjay, Bahubali, and all these different names of the Derasar. Fascinating. This all now took. Oh, yeah, very interesting. People Ajit Shanti આવે છે, બોલે છે Ajit Shanti. And another story that these two temples, what it says, what you can see, let me just point them here. These two, white temple and this temple here, legend has it, both of them were facing opposite each other. So what happens is if you're praying on this side, your back is pointing to the other temple. And when you are praying to this temple here, then your back is facing the other temple. You don't want to have your bottom facing the Tirthankar Bhagwan. And there was Ajit Shanti which was recited. And after this Ajit Shanti was recited, both the temples came next to each other here. So again, people who know Ajit Shanti, it's recited during Chaudas, during Pratikaman કરે છે during the position time. Ajit Shanti is recited. So again, amazing story behind Ajit Shanti, how the two temples, and to see that these are the two temples of here, Ajit Nath Bhagwan and Shantinath Bhagwan. No. Moti Shani too. So there's beautiful carvings. Balabai Jini took. Again, some history about Balaji Jini took. Hemavasini took. Interesting. We might be stretching 5 minutes more, but I think some of the things are quite interesting to know. If you went to this Derasar here, and you will see these three statues over here, you might not know what's the significance of these three statues here, right? You'll just see, wow, interesting. I strongly suggest go to the website and read just some of the things to watch out here. There's a monkey over here. There's a scorpion on this lady's thigh here. And on this lady's thigh, there's a kind of snake around the legs here. Read about the story. It's a tale between a sasu, wow, and a neighbor. Fascinating story about the effects of karma, what karma does. And the story is based on sasu, wow, and a neighbor. And how you can, start backbiting and talking and all these things and what tends to happen. And that's kind of depicted on this on this temple over here. Fascinating story to read. This temple here is again said to be found from the Arabian Sea. So the Daryamati Murti આવી છે. So this is Palitana mountain. This is the main tuk here, and that's kind of Hastagiri. So the temple opposite, the colossal with huge pillars. So that's Hastagiri on the opposite side. Again, colossal statue of Adeshwar Bhagwan over here. Chomukjini took. This again is a very fascinating story. Sava Somni took. I strongly suggest that you go to the website and read about it. It's about two merchants and how one was in debt, and when you have to fight for bankruptcy, and you literally are struggling to even feed your family, even a Jain Shravak would go in any lengths. You would then want to steal or rob or do something just to survive. And a fascinating story of how this temple came along with a state. So one guy was quite rich. All his ships got lost in the sea. He became very poor. He did something devious, something wrong, and out of that wrong, how did this new temple get erected? Sava Somni took. That's why it's the name of those two people, Sava and Som. Interestingly, from the bottom, when you're at the bottom of Palitana, when you're driving through, you see a peak from the distance. So the peak is not of the main Adeshwar Bhagwan, it's this peak here. So this is the peak which you see, because the main Adeshwar Bhagwan took is actually behind this. You cannot see it until you climb the mountain. So from the bottom, when you're driving through, as you come closer to Palitana, you see a tuk, and you think, oh yeah, this is Adeshwar Bhagwan. It is this one here. So this is a story of Sava Somni Tuk. You can read at your leisure. Some kind of aerial picture of Palitana mountain. Someone had taken I came across internet, someone had taken a picture, an aerial picture. પાંચ પાંડવનું દેરાસર આપણે જેમ આવે ને પાંચ પાંડવ think. Just very quickly. Yeah, this is the newest temple, Kirtistam. Beautiful idols made of gemstones, pink, green, almost like, I don't know what the idols are, but you could be precious stones. It's made out of those murti. Another Samosaran temple right at the base now. And right at the base is Saraswati Matani on a goose. So there's a temple dedicated to Saraswati Mata built in 1803. So I think that's basically it. Sorry for having taken 5 or 10 minutes more. There's also other tirths around, but I think we can stop for now.
Thank you, Ajit Bhai. Rajiv Bhai. I've got one request.
Yeah.
Going back to the Saraswati Mata mantra, is it possible to share the post, the actual mantra with the class?
Sure, I'll scan it for you and I'll send it to you. You can
If
then
you send
share
it
with
to
the class.
Shandip Bhai and then he can put it on the WhatsApp group.
Sure, yeah, I've got the mantra. I'll scan it and send it to you.
That's great.
Okay. I've just got one question as well.
Yeah.
Is it because Ajit Nath Bhagwan came there, they say we should go up and down Palitana 99 times?
Not Ajit Nath Bhagwan, Adesha Bhagwan. No, Ajit Nath Bhagwan is the second, this first Tirthankar. Yeah, so that's how the ritual of doing Navanu Yatra started. Yeah.
Okay. And also the mantra that you said when we start the journey, if you can share that with us as well,
Yeah, will do.
that would be good.
In fact, there used to be a calendar, and that calendar has got 12 different mantras. So what I'll do is I'll just scan all those 12 pages. There's a mantra for family peace. There's a mantra for anger. There's a mantra for different things. So I'll share that with Sandeep, and then he can pass it on.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there's no further questions from us anymore. So I will just say thank you to you.
Sure.
Rajiv Bhai, thank you very much for this excellent journey that you've taken us on. 3 weeks, condensed 14 days. It was amazing. It was like we were there with you, doing the jatra, doing the pujas, but the knowledge was absolutely fantastic for us, because we wouldn't know anything about these things. I personally have been to Palitana, and when my kids ask me, what is this, what is that, I was not able to tell them. So it is absolutely amazing to have that knowledge to then pass down to our children.
Yeah, I think that's important, because then you get the bhav, you get the feelings from otherwise it just becomes like a stone building.
That is true.
Yeah.
So what we would like to say, thank you very much. We were discussing this before the program started. Sometimes people do this after they have done a jatra. They will do some sort of donation, or they would do an upwas, or they would do something after having done a jatra. So with all our viewers, we would say, you've done a jatra, if you want to do something, please do so. Make a donation or on your behalf to anybody you want, and it would be a good idea to do this just out of bhav that we have done a jatra with everyone. I don't have anything else to say except for thank you so much for taking us on this journey. And once we have once I think this goes out on YouTube as well, we will be absolutely glorified with this yatra.
No, it's most. I think the main goal is, it's my joy of doing jatra, but they also inspiring everyone who watches it, and everyone who's doing this, that we all plan our annual holidays and trips everywhere, but jatra should be an integral part, especially for us and for the next generation, because it's only through I imbibe this a lot of this from my grandparents, and I would like to pass it on to my kids and then pass it on. So I think it's literally the passion which I have is just to make sure that people enjoy this. people, when they next plan a trip to India, think that, okay, maybe let me, yeah, besides a holiday, let me do at least one jatra. And if you do it, then even the youngsters will start enjoying this, because it becomes more like a joy and a fun rather than a chore, or like, oh, jatra kar jao. It's like excitement. Wow, it's great. Let's go and do jatra. So I think, that's my only aim and goal, that people really enjoy doing jatras, and wherever an opportunity arises, please do so.
So with that, I think we will bring the program to an end. Thank you so much for all your knowledge, all your photographs, all your wonderful stories as well. So with that, I would like to say thank you and khub anumodan to you. So Jai Jinendra Badane. With that, we will bring this program to an end.
Jai Jinendra, sure.